Hello, welcome to a new edition of Inglés en TV. English on Spanish television. Yes, sir. This is program number, or class number, 1048. Pronto 1050. 1048. And here we are together. I want to finish the paragraph I started yesterday. Page 73 at the top. She has nothing against you, as far as I know. Ella no tiene nada en contra de ti, en contra tuya, que yo sepa. No sé si en contra tuya es correcto castellano. Se oye, en contra de ti, creo que es lo correcto. Pero está cambiando. She has nothing against you. También podríamos decir, she doesn't have anything. She doesn't have anything against you. She has nothing against you as far as I know. In fact, she said some nice things about you the other day in a meeting. El otro día estaba yo en una reunión y dijo cosas muy bajas de ti. Some nice things, or cosas buenas. She said some nice things about you the other day in a meeting. Maybe she was in a bad mood when you talked to her yesterday. Maybe she was in a bad mood. A lo mejor estaba de mal humor ayer cuando hablaste con ella. Estaba enfadada. Maybe. Maybe she was in a bad mood. Maybe she was. Perhaps she was in a bad mood yesterday, no? Well, when you talked to her yesterday. Yes. But in any case, even if I'm in a bad mood, I don't become irritated with people. I don't bark at people when I'm in a bad mood. O está de malo, humor de perros. Está ladrando a todo el mundo. He's barking at everybody. I don't do that. You need to control yourself. You need to control your responses and your reactions. You need to be Lord and master of your own personality. Dueño y señor de sí mismo. You have to be a Lord and master of yourself, and don't allow your moods to influence your behavior. All right, one more, and we'll go on. One more. I took my wife and 3 kids up to 4. This is true. Lo único no es verdad que no son 3 hijos, son 2, que yo tengo 2. But this is true. I took my wife and 3 kids up to Fort Ticonderoga, about 5 hours north of New York City. I was shocked when I saw the ticket price, $30 per person. I decided not to spend $150. This is true. However, I didn't go from New York City 5 hours north to Fort Ticonderoga. Curioso nombre, indio. Fuerte Ticonderoga. Ticonderoga. ¿Cómo suena? Ticonderoga. In Inglés, Ticonderoga. Fort Ticonderoga. This is a famous fort in New York. New York State, not New York City. New York State, siempre pongo para arriba, subiendo Rio Hudson. It was important during the American Revolutionary War. We say the Revolutionary War when we refer to la guerra de independencia de las colonias inglesas o americanas contra la corona británica. Yeah, with George Washington. They won their independence. We call that the Revolutionary War. All right. We don't call it the War of Independence. It's the Revolutionary War. Porque era una revolución contra la corona. So, and Fort Ticonderoga was an important battle in the Revolutionary War. It is an important fort. So, but it's made of wood. Esos fortes de madera, in punta. Yeah. And so I was on vacation with my family. And we went to the Adirondacks, a very beautiful area in north central New York State, not too far from Canada. And then on the way back, say, Fort Ticonderoga. We went over to visit Fort Ticonderoga. And I went, and it's a simple fort. It's 250 years old. But it said, ticket price, $30. $30. And for the children, $30. Wow, that's $120. And I remember I looked at the fort in the distance, said, vámonos, sigamos camino. And it was just too expensive to visit Fort Ticonderoga. And so I remembered that when I wrote this, but I invented another family with 3 kids. I took my wife and 3 kids up. Esto significa que salieron de la ciudad de New York City. Cuando digo up, subiendo del sur al norte por el río Hudson, along the Hudson River. Very beautiful in this area. I took my wife and 3 kids up to Fort Ticonderoga, about 5 hours north of New York City. I was shocked. Shocked means very surprised. I was shocked when I saw the ticket price. Wow. I was really shocked. $30 per person. It's crazy. I decided not to spend $150. I mean, for my wife, myself, and my 3 kids, $150? Es un fuerte. Well, okay, it's important in history. But in any case, not for $150. Don't you agree? It's a bit steep. Steep? Yeah, it's a bit steep. Se dice mucho esto para un precio un poco steep. Sleep es dormir. Quitas la L y le pones una T, tenemos steep. Steep significa empinado. Una cuesta empinada es steep, pero es un precio un poco empinado. Decimos es steep. It's a bit steep. No es desorbitado, pero es un poco cuesta arriba este precio. It's a bit steep. Yeah, $150, I agree. So I took my wife and 3 kids. Up to Fort Ticonderoga. Yes, about 5 hours north of New York City. I was shocked. I was surprised when I saw the ticket price, el precio de las entradas. $30 per person? Forget it. I decided not to spend $150. I'm sleepy, Marta. Me entra sueño. I didn't sleep very well last night. Yeah. If I fall asleep, si me quedo dormido, I was saying, como decía ayer, all right, if I fall asleep. All right, we're starting a new family. Una familia un poco desajustada. The Perkins family. Nigel Perkins. He's a private detective. Detective privado. Now, normally a private detective, wow, cool, like James Bond? No, different. He's the owner of a private detective agency. All right, una agencia. Es el dueño de la agencia de detectives privados. But these private detectives work basically with insurance companies. You see, insurance companies have to pay claims. To pay a claim is pagar un siniestro. For example, if I have an insurance policy on my wife, and a life insurance policy, and my wife dies, well, I receive the proceeds. Proceeds es la indemnización, dinero correspondiente. If I insure my wife for $1 million, €1 million, caso de fallecimiento or permanent disability, incapacidad permanente o incapacidad permanente, I receive $1 million. Yeah. So maybe I'm tempted to kill my wife. You get the money. This happens, eh? This happens. I'm not going to do it, okay? But in any case, if I kill her, and of course I don't say anything, of course the police are going to investigate the situation, to investigate the crime. But equally concerned, or even more concerned, is the insurance company. So the insurance company will also investigate the crime. So you have two simultaneous investigations, by the police, the homicide division, and by the insurance company. Sometimes they work together, I don't know, sometimes they don't work together to make sure that my wife's death was legitimate and not murder. Okay. And sometimes, for example, you have, for example, I can have, imagine that I have at home, a lot of jewelry. My wife has a lot of jewelry. Imaginemos que mi mujer tiene collares de diamantes, perlas, a lot. And they're stolen. But I have an insurance policy. So the insurance company has to pay me $500,000, the value of the jewels. Of course, the insurance company will probably investigate to make sure that I didn't organize the theft. You see. So it's very sensitive. For insurance companies always have this dilemma with the policies, with their policy holders, to make sure. And so the insurance companies have detectives or private agencies. And Nigel's agency works almost exclusively with insurance companies. All right. Nigel Perkins, Nigel escrito. Nigel Perkins is 55 years old. Parece más, ¿a que sí? ¿A que parece más de 55? Yeah. Okay, bueno, con el hijo que tiene no me extraña. Trae unos problemas. All right, we'll see the son, eh? Okay. No sé si tiene salvación el hijo. ¿Se salvará el hijo al final? That's an interesting story. The story of the son is more interesting than the father. Nigel Perkins is 55 years old. He's English, típico inglés, and he lives on a country estate 35 miles north of London, near the M1 motorway. Okay, yeah. The M1, autopista número 1. M1. The M1 motorway starts in London and goes to Edinburgh in Scotland. And it passes near Nottingham, passes through near York, Newcastle, and Edinburgh. That's the M1 motorway. It leaves London, and Nigel's house, owns an estate. Estate es como una hacienda, una finca. Hacienda mexicana. Venga a mi hacienda. And so, but Nigel has an estate, escrito estate, con e delante, ojo, estate. Estate también significa patrimonio, mi patrimonio, my estate. El impuesto sobre el patrimonio, estate tax. Planificación de patrimonios, estate planning. Gestión de patrimonios, estate management. All right. And Nigel Perkins has an estate. Tiene un patrimonio, pero esto tiene una casa, una finca, una hacienda. Okay. about 35 miles. Está lejos, 35 miles is about 55 kilometers. 55 kilometers. It's pretty far. Yeah. Como Guadarrama, como los túneles. 55 miles. North of London, near the M1 motorway. He's married to Margaret Perkins. Casado está. He's married to He's married to Margaret. Mucha M aquí. He's married to Margaret Perkins and has one son, Ronald MacDonald. Yeah, Ronnie Perkins. He has one son, Ronnie. Nigel owns a company that investigates suspicious people who receive big payments from insurance companies. Nigel's company investigates people, investiga a la gente que recibe grandes sumas. Okay, de las aseguradoras. Okay, so Nigel's company, ¿dónde estoy? Me he perdido. Nigel owns a company that investigates suspicious people who receive big payments, grandes pagos o pagamentos, como se dice en inglés, from insurance companies. Suspicious. Sospechoso. Yes. Sospecha is suspicion. 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 Hay sospechas. There's some suspicion. Persona sospechosa. A suspicious person. Yes. I suspect. Yo sospecho que esa persona es sospechosa. I suspect that person is suspicious. Sospecho que hay sospecha aquí. I suspect there's suspicion here. Se puede decir, ¿no? Sospecho que que sea un caso de sospecha. Yeah. Con calzador. Okay, fine. Suspicion. So, he owns a company that investigates suspicious people who receive big payments from insurance companies. Yes, from insurance companies. His company is very famous in the United Kingdom, and it has a lot of important clients. It even has some clients in France and in the United States. Nigel doesn't work every day. He goes to the office in the center of London 2 or 3 times a week. Okay, Nigel doesn't work every day. 2 or 3 times a week he drives. He goes into London. The headquarters for Nigel's company are in the center of London. And Nigel goes 2 or 3 times a week. 2 or 3 times a week. Yeah. He has a good team of managers who run the company very well. He has a good team of managers who run the company very well. To run, que dirigen la compañía muy bien. Un equipo de gerentes o gestores. He has a good team of managers who run aquí no es correr, es dirigir, who run the company very well. Yes. On the days that Nigel doesn't go to London, he likes to spend his time reading and taking care of his garden. Cuidar su jardín de no sé cuántos metros. Yeah. When he doesn't go to London, he likes to spend his time reading and taking care of his garden. His estate is big. My estate, your estate, her estate, his estate. Su finca, su casa y terreno y propiedad. His estate is big. It covers almost 30,000 square meters. 3 hectáreas. 30,000 square meters. Yes. 30,000 square meters. Yeah. 100, that's 200. Yeah. That's pretty big. 3 hectares. 3 hectares. Como 6 campos de fútbol. Maybe. You know, a football field, 100 meters by 50 meters. So it's 5,000 square meters, more or less. So two football fields is 1 hectare. 10,000 square meters, 1 hectare. So Nigel's estate is 6 football fields. It's not bad. It's not bad. I think he had, creo que tiene 3 jardineros, I think. I'm not sure. He likes to spend his time reading and taking care of his garden. His estate is big. It covers about 30,000 square meters. Nigel has 3 full-time gardeners to help him take care of his estate. 3 gardeners, full-time. 3 full-time gardeners. 3 jardineros a tiempo completo. All right? Yes. Nigel wants to write a book about some of the interesting investigations from his company's past. Yeah, he's in a good position, Nigel, to write a book because he's 55. He started working as a private detective when he was 18. He didn't go to the university. He started working in a private detective agency when he was 18 years old. By the time he was 30, I think at the age of 33, he formed his own company. Now he's 55. During the subsequent 15 or 20 years, he made a lot of money and he created a very prestigious private detective agency. Yes. And of course, during all these years, he has witnessed several very interesting cases. Dignos de una novela de suspense, una película. Yeah. It's very interesting because what can happen? One of the teachers in this organization spent several years teaching the claims manager in an insurance company. The claims manager es el jefe, en este caso la jefa era mujer, la jefa de siniestros de una empresa aseguradora de vida. And the teacher told me that she told her a lot of very interesting stories of crazy crimes, y crímenes locos. It's incredible what people do to get money. Yes. Of course, this woman's vision of the world is warped. Yes. Eso se llama deformación profesional, pero es deformación ética también. Because in her job, she only sees bad things. You know, if you work in a different job where you only see good things, you have a good impression of human nature. Her impression, de la naturaleza humana es mala, her impression, yeah, because everything that comes to her desk are claims, bad problems and things. And so she has a bad impression of human nature. But Nigel wants to write a novel. Yo también quiero escribir una novela. Yeah, Nigel wants to write a book about some of the interesting investigations from his company's past. He thinks that 1 or 2 of the investigations are good material for a novel or even for a suspense movie, una película de suspense. No, suspense. Yeah. Pero suspense no es una palabra española. Suspense. All right. Suspense. Okay, in English. Yeah, he thinks 1 or 2 of the cases are good material for a novel or even for a suspense movie. His son Ronnie thinks he's crazy, but Nigel doesn't pay any attention to his son. Nigel no le presta atención a su hijo. Ronnie thinks his father is crazy, but Nigel doesn't pay any attention to his son, Ronnie. Ronnie spends his time on the French Riviera, la Riviera Francesa, Saint-Tropez, Nice, Cannes, Monte Carlo. That's the French Riviera. The French Riviera. Okay. Yeah, Ronnie spends his time on the French Riviera, where he owns a small company that rents yachts for short cruises between Monte Carlo and the Balearic Islands. Bueno, tan corto no es. He makes a lot of money in the summer, and he asks his father for money in the winter. Yeah. Ronnie, Nigel and Margaret have only one son, Ronnie. I don't remember, I think he's about 28 years old. But we'll meet Ronnie much more in future episodes. See you tomorrow.